Hello and welcome to the backyard. I'm going to try a bit of an automotive paint experiment. Over here, I have the door panel off of a car. It's just the skin of a door off of a car, and it's just sort of in my scrap metal pile for use in patching things or arts and crafts or whatever. And as you may be able to see, I have divided it into 4 bits with some tape. I've washed the whole thing down just kind of lightly, take off any loose dirt, and I'm going to treat each quarter of it a little bit differently and see how the paint sticks and how the paint covers. Alright, for my experiment I will be using some generic gray automotive primer that I had on my shelf, and also some Power Fist, because there's no fist like a Power Fist. Knock off some brand of heavy equipment yellow. But I think what we'll do first is probably on this quadrant here, we will try no primer at all, just color, and then we will go primer color, and then I will scuff the surface, wipe it dry, like just dry wipe it or dry clean it sort of, and then primer color, and then scuff and wipe with a wax and grease remover, and then primer color. That's the plan anyway. So since some selfish prick wanted a door handle in his door here, we're just going to use that as the sacrificial color only, which will probably suck. So I don't mind doing it over on this quarter. So let's see how that goes. Yeah. Alright, so this side is mostly dry here. I'm going to come in here with one of these Scotch-Brite fine scuff pads and scuff these 2 sides up a bit.
Do you want to draw with me?
Okay.
Take the blue one. The blue one.
Thank you.
You like blue, right?
I do like blue. Alright,
This
let's
is
go.
my favorite color, purple.
Let's go draw.
Yeah.
So, this side I'm just going to dry wipe it off, just to get the loose dust and stuff off of it as best I can. You can see that it's somewhat scuffed up.
Daddy, come find me.
Okay.
Yes, I'm an Easter egg.
Alright. I have to go find my son because he says he's an Easter egg. And on the other side I'm going to use a dab of wax and grease remover. Lots of dirt and stuff came up on that. Yeah, I should use my cardboard condom here. Alright. Alright, so this has had about a week to cure. We have just paint, primer and paint, scuff, primer, paint, scuff, wax and grease remover, and then primer and paint. So they all look kind of similar, to my eye anyway. So I'm going to do some torture testing. This is the crankshaft pulley out of a Subaru. I would say it weighs about 5 pounds. What I'm going to do is place it on here, and just so I'm not pushing down on it, I'm going to run a bungee around it here. I'm just going to drag it across both sets of these to see what the paint adhesion is like. Here we go. Oh. See some marks there. Let's try this side. There are some ridges in the door skin that I'm trying to avoid here, but let's see. Well, I would call that fairly inconclusive. Although this really chips off pretty easy here. This is primer and paint. Let's go the other way here and get a better run without the ridges. You know, this is just like parking in student housing. This is what happens to your doors there too. That's interesting. So far it looks like this corner here that had no prep but primer and then paint is faring worse than the side that just had paint on no prep. These two are doing about the same. Ones that have scuff and then primer and paint. Let's invent another test. Alright, it's time to be merciless. I'm going to get my Power Fist, of course. Power Fist wire brush. It's what I use for scraping off welding slag or whatever. What I'm going to do is just kind of come in here and attack some of these spots where the scratches are to see how much it opens the scratch up. So this side right away you can see it's just cutting right through the paint. And I'm not pressing very hard. So let's look over here. I would say, yeah, I would say this corner is doing the worst so far, and that's primer on top of clear coat, basically. Yeah, primer on top of clear coat and then paint. So let's get over here to the scratch prepped side. Find a hole to open up on here. Yeah, it's not as bad. These sides tend to flake. This one flakes badly and this one flakes a bit. This one's actually just scratching, which I would expect, because this stuff's nasty. I'll try this final corner over here. Those are some scratch marks there, so we'll get in on those. And again, much better predictable behavior. That just flakes off. You can almost take that off with your fingernail. That's coming off how I would expect it to. But it seems to be a little more graceful than this side. So I'm going to say, you know, it's kind of a foregone conclusion, but I just wanted to prove it for myself, that if you roughen up the surface and then wipe it down with wax and grease remover, then prime, let the primer set, and then paint, you're going to have the most sturdy paint job of the bunch. It looks a bit like a flag. There's a Swedish flag inside out or something. I'd have to look that up. Looks like a flag. That's, come over here where there's no pre-existing scratch. And you can cut through, but it doesn't just blow apart like this other stuff. It's just all flakes right apart. Yeah, so definitely your preparation matters much more than your painting. So do your prep work before you paint. That's your lesson.